guys? Welcome back to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
I love that your gate still isn't perfect. So it's just, guys, welcome. You
Oh,
know what I
really?
mean? Yeah, you don't get the what's up. It clicks in too late.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I don't understand why.
Are you wearing a SmackDown versus Raw shirt?
No, I'm wearing a.
Let me full
It's
screen.
Champions.
Crash
It's
Bandicoot?
Champions.
Is it Crash Bandicoot?
Champion.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Champion.
Yeah, Crash
Of the
Bandicoot.
Bandicoot. Crash
Oh,
Bandicoot
it is,
Champion.
though.
There it is.
Wow.
There it is,
Yeah,
everybody.
a nice little collab. I could have done without Crash on it. Like, I feel like it's a pretty dope shirt, like just the champion logo. But
How would you know
Crash
who it is
a little-
then? You need Crash, you know?
I mean,
Because
Tim,
it has-
they paid.
the iconic masks.
They
That
paid
one's-
for
That's fair.
license.
La Lule Low, and that one's the other Lule Low.
No,
You know,
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a
It
Metal
doesn't matter.
Gear thing, right? La La La.
What
Yeah, Uma and
One of them's
Laka
called-
Laka.
Lolly Loli is one of their names.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. You can hear all about Crash Bandicoot over on the PS I Love You. Wait, Imran, are you playing Crash?
I've played the first world.
Okay, hold on. We're going to talk about your opinions on Crash. Of course, we have the former Imran Khan as
Howdy.
well. And we have the best hair in the business making his return here to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. For the first time in years, he was never here to talk about Avengers,
Okay.
apparently. Or at least he doesn't remember it.
Inside
Ladies and
pre-show.
gentlemen, we shouldn't make fun of it. On the way to his house today, Fran got kicked by a mule. And he's forgotten the last 6 months of podcast he was on.
On the way to his house. Why would he be on the way to his house?
He was at the gym. He
Who
was
knows
at the
where I
gym.
sleep?
The gym.
You think I sleep in my house? That's strange.
Oh,
Good to
I
be
love it.
back.
Yeah,
2 for
man.
2 today. Did games daily earlier today with Imran.
Yeah.
A pleasure.
Uh-huh. 3 for 3. It
Oh, yeah.
sounds like to me.
3
You
for
guys
3.
did Among Us together. I can't
Again,
wait.
don't
to
throw it in his
hear about
face. The
that.
kick. The kick. He's forgotten when he was on
I
today.
have never played Among Us with Greg. That is a bold-faced lie.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast each and every week right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. We get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love about them. You can get the show ad-free with the exclusive post show by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can also just watch it later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or roosterteeth.com. If you want to listen to it as a podcast, that's cool. So it's your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny Gamescast, and we'll be right there for you. We appreciate the Patreon people just a little bit more than the normies, just a little bit. So I want to give a shout out to the Patreon producers. Greg, I feel like I blame you for this list. I gotta be
Is it time to
honest.
call him again?
James Davis at James Davis Makes. Thank you very much. Jeffrey P. Long, thank you very much.
Beep, beep, beep,
Julian, the gluten-free gamer, thank you. Sancho West Gaming, thank you. James Hastings, thank you. And Tom Bach, thank you. But there is also, if you didn't listen to PS I Love You, XOXO, a new Patreon producer this month who literally just left their phone number. So that number
Tim,
is... Yeah.
I
What's up,
believe
Kev?
he hit me up on Twitter and said he would gladly accept any phone call from any best friend.
Here it is. I got the phone out. He didn't answer it on PS I Love You. He got a message that will go down in history.
You guys have
as
never
just
talked to this person?
Well, I mean, he's watched the shows or they've watched the show.
But
you
you
know?
haven't got a hold of him yet.
No, well, this is October for 2020, so we've only
right.
had a couple shows. So we had the PS I Love You was the debut, because on PS I Love You, I gave a shout out to Get Healthy with Hiram, who left his Gmail account there. And I was like, oh man, who's going to be the first to leave their phone number? And somebody said in the chat at the time they would. And I said, do it, you coward. And then they said in the chat, all right, I did it. And then this happens a month later. What's
So here
the
we
number
are. 248
248
835
835
3699.
3699.
What do we do here?
Now you know
This is
how
gonna
easy
be-
it is to get Greg's number. Just sponsor the show and give him your...
No, I block it, Fran.
Oh, I didn't know you
Gregory
could do that.
Jehoshaphat Miller.
There it is. Who are you,
Then
you
how did he
saucy son of a bitch? I love your style.
Oh, I am the mad lad who fucking obeys Busan Greg Miller.
I appreciate that. What's your name, Mad Lad?
Joey, but I go by Joy.
Pleasure to meet you, Joy. Thanks for caring about us. Now, are you watching live as we record? There you are. Yeah. In the chat, Joy, I'm waiting for the call, Greg. What did you...
I am at work. I was like nasty deep at work yesterday. That's why I didn't answer.
I understand. What do you do for a job?
I work in the kitchen. I prep, cook, wash dishes, do deliveries, basically everything.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for being a service worker and letting us all continue to eat during these times. And also, thanks for supporting us.
Oh, anytime. And like Kevin said, yeah, anyone wants to call me, no problem at all.
Have you gotten calls today?
I've gotten like maybe 6 or 7 and like 5 or 10 text messages.
Nice. The text message. I like that. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I was saying on PS I Love You. I
Just a
said,
random text message.
yeah, on PS I Love You. I was saying, like,
random text message.
the Kind of Funny
It's
fans
just
are so
a
nice.
Video of Nick saying, "You fucked up."
That's what it was.
You fucked up, son. I was just like,
No, everybody's really nice. Everybody's going to be
Greg,
nice to you.
Greg, can you tell
Yeah,
him
hold on,
to
hold on.
use?
Tim is giving me a message to give to you.
Can you tell him to use this as his own personal squad up? Now he has
yeah,
a community of best friends there to play games with.
Okay, he wants you to. Tim says to use this as your personal squad up. Where would you direct people to connect with you other than your phone number?
Twitter, Joseph O. Youssef, and PSN, Joseph Youssef 48126.
All right. Well, Joy, thank you so much. We hope we entertain you with this episode of the Gamescast.
You guys always do with everything you do.
Thank you.
I love it.
I will make sure that when Fran forgets that he was on this show tomorrow,
my
that he had a good moment with you. All right. We love you, Joy. We'll talk to you later.
Let's see, sir.
Bye.
God, I love what we do. What the fuck? This is ridiculous. You love to see it. You love
It's
to
like
see
I said on PS I Love You. Like, it sounds crazy, but like no one's gonna be mean to him. And then there's the Kind of Funny best friend who's like, I'm really gonna get this fucker.
I'm gonna ruin this guy's life. No.
I'm about to end this whole man's career.
I would have maybe started with like a Google Voice number first, and then like move on to phones. But you know, if you're gonna go for it, go for it.
Commit.
Full hog.
Now remember what I said on PS I Love You. That's the one time this works.
Mhm.
If you put in your phone number from here on out, we're not calling you on shows. I'll read it. I'll let it. But then I will unleash the dogs of hell. That's when I will be like, all right,
other
now
people
you get
will
him.
call you. You won't. I will say though, Chance, it was a burner account. You asked him what did he do, and he kind of, and then he had this story about
he knew
working.
what it was.
Could be, you know.
I trust him.
You know what? If you're gonna go that
Sounds like a
far,
good
then
guy.
like you deserve it. You deserve to like burn everyone else.
What have we been playing, gentlemen? Now, Imran, we had a whole plan. We had a whole series of things we're going to talk about. But you talked about Crash Bandicoot 4, and I need to get your opinion. I hyped it up. I sold it pretty high. You're just telling me now you're a couple worlds in. Greg Miller's sold. Greg Miller's loving the game.
I do love it.
Where are you at, Imran?
So I think the way I play video games is antithetical to the way Crash Bandicoot wants me to play. Because like the second I remember this game pretty well. I forgot the fact that there's a counter at the end that says you broke this many boxes out of however many, and you got this many fruit. So I figure, okay, I'll just go through perfectly each time and get all this stuff. That does not work. That makes that game real bad if you try to do that.
Real hard, man.
So, like within the last world or so, I've broken myself of that, and I've tried to move on. Like, no, I'm not going to care how many lives I have left, how many lives I've wasted, how many boxes I have left. I'm going to go there and have fun and enjoy it. And that's made that game a lot better. But those first 2 worlds where I was trying to do everything perfectly, frustrating as hell. Because like every little thing about a game bothers you at that point of like, oh, the physics of jumping is a little harder when you do a double jump, so you fall straight down, or my shadow didn't quite match up, so I didn't quite get on this thing, or the swinging on the rails didn't quite work right. Those things, normal playthrough, completely fine. But when you're trying to do it perfectly, terrible. So I guess the weird way I was playing the game at first, I would have probably like really disliked that game. But now that I'm coming like back to a normal human playthrough, I'm getting it now and I'm enjoying it a lot more.
Yeah, and not to reiterate what I've been saying over and over, but it's like that's what I think is so great about this version of Crash and Crash 4 kind of being its own thing that functions in both of those ways. And what's beautiful about it is the moment that you hit that frustration wall where you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. This isn't fun. You can just continue on without doing the bonus levels, without trying to get all the crates, without whatever, and just face the normal challenges of going through the game, which does get progressively harder and pretty like ridiculously difficult towards the end. But then you can go back, and I'm seeing so many people. I've seen Tom Bach, our Patreon producer. He's been tweeting about how much he's loving going back now and trying the different challenges out, that he has his mind wrapped around the intricacies of the gameplay a little bit more. So do you think you're going to stick with it?
Yeah, I think I'll stick with it. I think the problem for me originally is that I did not realize that getting all those things is supposed to be a hard thing you do when you come back to it and like you're better at the game and know the level completely. I thought, oh, if I just try a little bit, I can probably get this perfectly the first time through. And that's not true. That is just like, that's a thing you come back and do later. because like the second level was this thing where there's like a bunch of invisible platforms, or not invisible, disappearing platforms, and like boxes on all of them. And for some reason, this is the most difficult thing in the world if you're trying to get all those boxes. But if you're just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna skip to the middle, then you're fine. And I think that's the way the game was designed. Is this stuff is, if you want to do it, go for it, but don't feel pressured. And if I had realized that originally, like if I had realized that this is the advanced hard thing, I would not have done that originally at all. So I think now I'm just gonna take like this little nice, more casual playthrough through it now.
Oh God, it warms my heart that you guys are playing this game and enjoying it so much. But Greg,
how much have you gone back to it?
A fair amount. I mean, not as much as I wish I could. There's been a lot going on in general, but I've been, like I was saying yesterday on PS I Love You XO, so you can find youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, my first appearance in the new version at least. And thank you so much for being so supportive of me being on it. Everyone was very nice, and I never thought in my life people would be nice to Tim Gettys being on PS I Love You. So thank you very much for that.
I've been saying it for 10 months. We should fire Blessing.
No, be nice to
we don't need him.
Be
Look,
nice
listen, we don't need him on this show either. We're doing fine. Ain't that right,
He has
Fran?
his dentist stuff going on.
Never heard of him.
Now, Fran,
God.
real quick to remind you,
forgetful.
you and I worked at IGN. All right, that's how we met. All right.
Great refresh.
Do you need me to get you a cup of ice chips?
Telling you, we didn't talk about the end game.
No, but like I was saying on that show, I've been going back and doing the like kind of separate characters, little bits like the Dingo Dial and Tana, and the kind of like different gameplay styles, a couple of the Neo Cortex ones that they throw into the different worlds that are levels that aren't required to play in the main kind of storyline, but are opened up as you progress through the normal worlds. And they're great, man. On top of that, the rewind tapes and all that, like there is so much content in this game, and it really uses the worlds and levels in such detailed, intricate ways that I'm very impressed they pulled off.
I'm actually really curious, like as someone, I don't know, I've always sort of dabbled in Crash, and I don't have anything against it, but I never had a pull to like, oh man, you definitely got to play it. And especially now, I think that's my question, as someone who's maybe not sentimentally like, oh man, a new Crash, like why would I really want to play it? What are its driving strengths when you get in and you're like, oh, this is so fun? Like what's so fun? Because in my mind, I can only picture the like running forward sort of linearly and jumping over, like it feels very arcadey, and again, nothing wrong with it, but like, is it still the same, or is it?
It's actually good, Fran. Like, I'm happy you bring this up. Like, this game is actually good. It really
wasn't.
It delivers on the promise of what you remember those old games being. And like, I have such nostalgia for those games, but it's like 2 and 3 had moments that are pretty good, but like none of them they don't hold up in a way that's like, oh, in a way that we talk about the old Mario platformers, we don't talk about the Crash games. Like we have nostalgia for them, we love them, whatever. But it's like, we're all kind of in understanding of what those games are. Crash 4 is legitimately good. Like
And
Crash
is it, like-
4, I mean, Greg Miller's liking Crash 4. Like that to me is the thing where it's like, this game is designed to be a fresh new experience that like, you don't need to know anything about the old ones. And honestly, I mean, if you do, you're going to love this one. If I haven't heard anyone not like this game.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
probably
great
the best way to
throwback,
do
but
it.
it's got the modern sensibilities. I think, it's beautiful. I think there's a ton to unlock, and I'm just talking about costumes at the start, let alone into gems, let alone into the secret areas. I never got into the trap Imran's in of I just go through and I'm like, oh man, 136 out of 144. That's pretty good. On to the next one. Like, I'm not sitting there like I have to go back and grind it all out and hit it perfectly. I appreciate that is there. I appreciate that if you want to go for that platinum, you want to do the crazy time trials, all that's there for you. But otherwise, I think it's more the quick loads, obviously, in terms of coming off of getting killed, coming right back to it, right? Getting to redo the segment you fucked up, knowing there's a checkpoint not too far beyond it. It reminds me of, how much I loved Blood Roots, how much other people, and I enjoyed it even though I didn't beat it, loved Celeste for the, okay, you're going, you dead. All right, you're back into it. Super Meat Boy, that kind of thing. Like, I feel like they're nailing that kind of gameplay of, all right, it's fun, it's frantic, it's fast, let's get through it. And then if you fuck it up, you don't feel like, oh my God, I got to go back. Like, it's not like Cuphead, which I didn't enjoy, where I felt like I had to go so far back to go forward.
Craig Miller, we don't have the video wall behind us, but we do have the overlay. And it's one of those moments right now where, oh, damn, it just went away. But it was Celeste. It was Celeste.
Look at that.
So that was great.
You'll love to see it.
No, but
You'll
Fran, you
love
should
to
check
see
it
it.
out. This would be a great Fran stream game that you can check out on twitch.tv/FM3_.
Now, Fran, to give you some
Yeah,
context,
so it's
we
heavy
used to
platforming,
work
though.
out of a studio and we had a big LED wall where video would
Are you
play.
gonna run this joke into the ground like for the next 2 hours?
Oh, we already did, brother.
Nobody even knows what the joke's about. That's the best part about it. They still don't understand it, which is fine. Let's
They understand that you're a forgetful
That I
Freddy
got
who got
kicked
kicked
No,
by
no,
a mule.
Fran, you're forgetting at the start of the video, Greg explained the joke to everyone.
You got me.
Oh God, what a world
We
we
have
live
fun
in.
here, guys.
Recollection
We
of
have
that.
fun here.
No, but real talk, Fran. I think that you, as a platformer fan, I know you. I mean, at least I don't want to assume.
No, I
you
still
do.
really like platformers. Sure.
Yeah, but, like,
Absolutely. just because I
I
don't
would-
play them all the time.
I'd say you're more of a like traditional 3D platformer guy than a 2D platformer
Yeah,
guy.
like Mario Odyssey's dope.
Yeah, and I think that Crash Bandicoot's kind of gameplay style, even though it is in 3D, it airs more on the 2D side, right, Imran?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I control a large portion of that game with the D-pad because it just feels better. And then like there's occasional sections where I'm like, okay, this is a little more open, so I'll switch to the analog stick for it.
Yeah, it's more similar to Mario 3D World than Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having said that,
Sure.
I think that
modernized
it's a good
Crash.
stream game.
Yeah. Okay. Might have to try it out.
Moving on though, Greg Miller.
Hi.
You still can't say much about the Xbox Series X, but I think this is the first Gamecast we've done since you've had it.
Correct. That's 100% correct. Yeah, we
What-
got the Xbox Series X last week, the Friday, right? And yeah, have been kicking the tires on it since then. So yeah, the embargo is still everything you've seen or heard already, and which it means quick resume's really cool. And man, the load times are fast. And so that's it's mainly around backwards compatibility and stuff like that, which has been helpful. But as I've tweeted about, like I understand that enough people have said it and you've seen enough things about it. If you need to hear it from me, holy fucking shit, can I not wait for this next gen to start? Because yes, load times are so quick. And I have permission. Would you like to see them?
Sure.
I have permission. I got
Wanna
permission
show
ahead
us
of time.
right now.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
now, Fran, now imagine this TV's like a video wall at the studio that we did work at beforehand. Whatever.
Oh
So yeah,
my
so
God.
like obviously, Fran, what's the game you're obsessed with right now that I'm obsessed with?
Avengers, I think. You tell me.
Doesn't Avengers take forever to load?
Yeah, it sure
God,
does,
yes.
Greg.
It does not
you
on
have it
Xbox
on
Series
this?
X. Yeah.
Okay.
This is just running backwards compatibility of
This is
the
fun.
regular
So wait,
Xbox
you're
version
on
of it.
the. Okay, just
This
getting
is Xbox
to...
Series X. Now, Fran, I understand you forgot a lot. So
Shut up! I'm trying to narrate what's happening. Okay, we're getting the publisher cutscene stuff. All right, front
That's
menu.
The title menu.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure I understand
Yeah.
what's happening.
Let's see how fast
I
it
mean,
gets.
we're
that
loading the
speed of
game and think about how long
Somebody
it
get
takes
a
to load a
stopwatch.
PlayStation.
Where's the stopwatch?
Nah.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? Here, what we
Yeah,
could
So
do.
it's still loading from the first title. Now he's got to hit campaign,
Wait, wait,
Avengers Initiative. Did you
We
hit
could have
Initiative, Greg?
had
Hit
Imran
Avengers Initiative.
run on PlayStation.
This is the one that takes a while.
We could have actually.
But it's been whatever.
Okay, so we're
30
here.
seconds from
Hulk's
the main
roaring.
menu.
Hulk's roaring. Hulk's roaring.
okay.
Thor's catching.
It's Mjolnir now.
That is Mjolnir now. Good call,
See,
Kevin.
I was waiting
Yeah.
for like a flash of lightning and it just to be ready to go.
Yeah, no, this is
I mean,
going a
I
lot
think
slower than
still
it seems.
compared to what we play. There.
Oh, there it is.
I will say, yeah, that is still really long, but that is pretty damning indictment of
But see, he
Avengers.
chose a game that isn't optimized.
100%.
So I think
Yeah, this
that's
is just
part of the
backwards
point.
compatibility Avengers, right?
There is a next gen version of that theoretically coming out.
Yeah,
on
load
launch
a
day.
load a mission, Greg. That's what I want to see. So he's
Sure,
on the
sure,
war
sure.
table. How long
Yeah,
does
well,
that
you-
take? Is it
War Table's, I mean, quick, but it's doing the countdown to actual mission time.
Yeah.
right?
So we're about to be in loading.
I-
No, we're not.
Now we're traveling to destination.
Okay.
And there, you're in it.
And there we
Whoa,
go.
holy crap! See, exactly because that didn't require any. That was super fast.
That is like 2 minutes long on it.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
super long. That takes like a minute to 90 seconds. It's probably a minute, but it's
So then going back to the Quinjet.
And you know, I
This is
think what's
cool, man.
interesting to
It's
me is
live.
like this is also like a server based.
Already back to Quinjet.
Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah,
be
that's
connecting
that's
with
ridiculous.
other players. Yeah, but that's like for it to not be optimized. That's awesome to see.
Because like I stopped playing this game because like the last current gen version is just so not bad, I guess, but feels very like it's very
it's
stressed.
unfinished, Imran.
Yes, yes, there we go.
Definitely
It is
is.
unfinished, and this like
Remember, we were on a show. I talked about that and asked you guys if you thought it was
Fran,
unfinished.
I don't remember
that.
You
I don't
probably can't remember that.
That
one.
never happened.
So okay, Greg. So Avengers
Launching this
now,
mission. This is a bigger mission. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay, which is a great game to show us off because yeah, the load times in it are.
Well,
are
from
very
here out, the other
long.
thing I want to jump into is Fortnite, if you don't mind, if you'll
Oh,
stick
yeah.
with me.
That-
Because
totally.
Fortnite,
You
when
gonna
we
get a
got
dub?
when we got it, no. I mean, I
plays for
could,
like 30
Fran.
minutes
Don't worry about
quietly.
that. But I'm not. I know. Back to you guys. Not play, and look at that. I'm already in though, Fran. Look, I just loaded a full blown mission, not even a harm room.
Like,
You're into it that way or whatever.
Had we like done this dueling with my PS4
wanna
right
see
now,
it
it
with
would have like
matchmaking.
started.
You would have
by
just
now.
gotten. Yeah, you would have just gotten to the helicarrier.
Yeah.
Like that's how long these are. But yeah, and then you pop over, right? And then Fortnite over there. Pop right in Fortnite. This when I got on Friday, first thing I installed was Fortnite because out of the stuff that's available concurrent, something that I play all the time is Fortnite, and I know how long those loads are on PlayStation 4 to get in. Fran, you had a question?
Yeah, what's interesting to me is finally seeing it too that you don't think about, you certainly don't do on PC, is like as you're loading into Fortnite and you get into it, we'll see how fast it is. If you go back to Avengers, is it gonna save to where you were?
It's well, I mean, it's
Will
like
it have that
basically
quick resume open? If
Yeah,
you
it
were
should.
in-
Yeah, it's the reason I say I start getting wishy-washy about it is because, of course, Avengers is a
An
live
online
service
title.
game or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, why didn't
I
this
kind of
work?
wonder if that's they built into this CRC in the next generation of like, yeah, you guys have to have a solution for online titles. So like going into instant resume should get you somewhere. It shouldn't just kick you back.
Mhm.
On.
All right, this
we'll
is a bad
see.
example, sadly, because it's still giving me all the loadouts that I had before.
it's
But like
doing
again,
the-
if you're a Fortnite person, that's even longer than usual. But it's
Yeah,
this
it's
is just the
logging in as
Battle
a-
Pass trailer, right?
Yeah, but
This
it does this
doesn't
usually
count.
on your first load into the
Yeah.
game, not your whatever.
Like that is comparable to my SSD on my PC.
I mean, it should be faster.
I don't want to.
I mean, it should be, but like it's hard to tell because
Hold on,
Greg's
go
going
back
through
here.
so much of this stuff.
Yeah.
So you switch it back to Avengers now?
Now we're
yeah,
quick
okay.
resume
So
pops
let's
up
see.
and you're back to it. Yeah.
And again, we just saw how long it took to get to Avengers the first time. So that will hopefully not be the case. And you're just
Yeah.
back in.
Where did
Yeah.
it take you back to, Greg?
It's still loading. It's me popping out of the Quinjet. to go
Oh,
down
it, was
the
it
mission.
actually saved you. It paused you in that mission effectively.
Yeah.
See, that part's pretty cool. That it's something that we're all going to get used to. Is the idea of like, I'm so used to closing an app on
Mhm.
consoles and the PC. Like, I don't just like tab between 3 different games and like I'm at my save and control and I'm at my, Avengers Initiative thing. That's going to be really cool and save
mean,
so much
like,
time.
That would be great for those like smaller games. Like I could have a Spelunky tab open and just go to that anytime I want to, regardless of what other game I'm playing. But
Mhm.
like Greg mentioned, there's so many online games these days. Like Fran, I would assume you'd want to use this for say Destiny 2. That like would
Yeah, it wouldn't
Destiny
make
2
sense.
just kick
Of
you
course,
out
it'll
though?
boot you. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course it would.
But
But,
wouldn't it
the-
still be valuable though if you had like, let's say there's let's say Fran just has Destiny, Fortnite, and Avengers, right? All online games. Still, that initial load, that initial kind of seeing all the publisher logos and all that stuff, getting to the main menu, even, right? If you just have those in quick resume state in the background, like that is going to add up over time.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure,
I
yeah,
think
of
it'll be
course.
helpful. I don't know that it's going to be
There
like
you go.
as good as it
now
possibly
there's a
could
better
be.
example. I didn't have to go through any of this
It'd
stuff for
save you much
Fortnite.
time.
I'd quit Fortnite and come all the way back in, and we're already here.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how far that extends too. Like if you have like 8 games installed, and especially if you think in the single player variety more so, like where it's ideal. Like if I hop in Control and then I hop in Halo and I hop in Assassins and I was at a save point, is it literally like where you were and does it go? How far back does it save? Save states.
Yeah.
But
My understanding, yeah, it is straight up a save state. But like it like loading will depend, and also it is much faster, not instant. So
yeah,
it'll be like
course.
we're talking like maybe 20 seconds versus a minute and a half.
Yeah, which is insane. Like when you
Yeah.
think about that, for how many loading screens you see in a game like Avengers, like if it's 20 seconds instead of a minute and a half 4 times in a 10-minute period, that's a lot.
Yeah, especially in deaths. Avengers was terrible about that. When like you die, you go through a long load screen. So I'm very eager to get rid of that. I would also really love to know if the PS5 has any of this, because we've not seen any videos of it.
Wouldn't we all want to know? Wouldn't we all like to know that?
Pan your camera to the right, Greg. We know that it's on the other wall.
Shuhei Yoshida is
He's
over
got-
here with the PS5. Let's see what
Shuhei's
he's
sitting
got.
there the whole time. He's just playing PS5.
He's like, I'm not
quietly.
impressed. I'm not
I was gonna
impressed with
say,
this Xbox
maybe-
Series.
Real fast to finish that topic, I was gonna say I don't think even with watching all the clips and watching you do it, that anybody still fully understands the quality of life that's about to change with these once they're
Totally.
optimized. Like even I still don't think I get the change and impact it's gonna have to be able to get load times like this.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it.
I'm so excited for the design changes it will allow, because like FF7 and how was the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order were great examples of this. If you're constantly crawling through things just to like help ease loading a little bit. Yeah.
Dude,
it's like, if they could change that just a little bit, I'd be so happy.
Dude, in Avengers, I'm pretty sure, right, Greg? There's those hallways between the main areas that you go through, and there's like no seeming reason that you like they're optional. I'm
when
like,
you're
loading.
doing your dailies right before you go to in every villain's, or not every villain sector, but for one where you're gonna fight Abomination or Taskmaster, you come out of the elevator, you run down a hallway, you hit another thing to go through another door, and like, what the fuck was this?
And I was
hallway
like, why?
for?
I was like, they're just loading. The stuff like that you don't even realize that's happening. To finally across the board be able to get rid of it is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
So Greg, before we move on, like, is there any? I know you can't say too much about your experience with the Series X so far, but like with that stuff, like you are controlling it in a way that we aren't. Like, how do you think it's actually going to play out
in terms of what people think of it?
Well, in terms of like your experience so far with it, like, is it a holy shit, this is next gen game changer, or is it like, oh, that's a kind of nifty feature? But
I think it's. I think it's the beginning. It's the seed of a holy shit next generation game changer. Because I think right now we're comparing it. I'm playing, a handful of backwards compatible things or whatever, current gen things, and sitting there going, oh, that's great. But it is the same thing of like, for me who loves his trophies and is, steaming ahead for this Avengers Platinum or whatever, the first night after tinkering with Avengers here and going back to Avengers PS4, it was, oof, these loads feel even longer. And wow, this doesn't look nearly as sharp as it looks on the Xbox Series X. So I think it's those things that even me, and we always talk about me, I'm always the idiot who doesn't care about the 4K TV, and Tim has to come in and make me buy it and do all these different things. You know what I mean? Like,
you're welcome.
But for me personally, even like when I first played Fortnite on it, right, it was very much like, holy shit, does this pop in a way it doesn't pop normally.
Cool. Sticking with Avengers for a little bit, Fran, Greg, what's your update on this?
Fran and I have never talked about the end game.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, I mean, for me, I will say I finally have fully arrived. We did talk about it several shows ago. You guys are such jerks. We did talk about it several shows ago, but getting deep into the end game where I've now finally gone through a few characters and reached max power and try to get stuff in a way that I like to play these games.
How many 150s you got? How many 150s you got?
I would have 2, but I'm not spending the materials. So.
Oh, well,
I might have enough for 3 if I,
Whoa!
I've spent a lot of time.
At least 150, but more to see,
That reminds me of a thing I totally forgot about. I loaded up Avengers post-patch, and then all my resources were gone, and I was like, all right, cool, and I closed the game.
Fixed
You're like,
that.
never again, delete,
gone.
Boom.
I think they fixed it, that they're back.
Okay.
But anyway.
Hopefully, yeah.
It is like totally apparent that it's just not, it's not really quite finished, but there is a ton of fun, within there. And I find more and more people that have tried it. They're like, yeah, I really like it, but you run out of things to do. And it is definitely kind of broken and unfinished that I don't think it should have been released yet. And they're making the same mistakes that all these games as a service make. That's my short, commentary. I'm curious what Greg is feeling, because he plays these games differently, and has, he's more into the lore and stuff, I think, than I am, and the characters. Not that I don't appreciate Marvel characters, but
I think I play it more. I think for me, there's a weird scale that I think you see when we talk about games as services, and especially when we talk about Avengers, where I think there's you at the top of the scale, at least in terms of our friend group and everything else, right? Who play Destiny and you play Borderlands and you play these games and are min-maxing and trying to figure out the best thing, and like right now sitting on your materials and being very specific. Then I think there's like more me, who is a hardcore gamer or whatever you want to call, but like not in the usual looter shooter grind. The grind turned me off to Destiny. And then I think on that same spectrum, in terms of Avengers players, you have my friend Sean, who's like still working on his Thor, who's like 149, right? He's about to get his first 150. And everybody's taking something different out of that experience. My thing with Avengers is, I am more about the comic book world and all that jazz, but that isn't affecting me now in the end game, right? There's not storylines still going on. This stupid cloning thing they have on why I'm fighting Abomination for the 900th time doesn't really work for me. But it is more I've fallen in love with this game because despite all of its many flaws, which we've talked about ad nauseum, obviously everything we've talked about with load times and content and yada, yada, yada. It's, for me, the first game I would say in quite some time, if not ever, where the friend group I have in it that I'm playing with every night are real world friends, if that makes sense. Like in DC Universe Online, I had a group I ran with and played with and stuff, but they were like people I met through the game or through IGN or whatever. They weren't like friends I already had. It's, as somebody who hates talking on the phone, it's bizarre to think that like, man, I have 2-hour-long conversations with Andrew Goldfarb now 4-5 times a week. And we sit there and have Sean in and we invite Tam in and like, we're bringing in other friends and doing that. Like, it is what I think so many people have found when they talk about Destiny, that I like the gameplay. I like the gameplay of being the superheroes. I like the grind for unlocking stuff, and I'm out there playing with my friends. So it's no longer like people. Yes, there's not that much to do. People say, right? And sure, it's the same locations, it's the same hallways, it's the same adaptoids, it's the same dreadbots, it's the same abomination. But it's also for me these mini victories of, all right, cool, I have 2 150s now, and now I'm moving on to Iron Man, and there's this difference in the game of playing with my friends every night, and then when I just want to sign on and do something, I've started going through and doing the dailies and weeklies for every battle pass, and I've knocked out Cap's battle pass and Black Widow's battle pass, and now I'm deep into Iron Man's. It's like there's all these different things in there that are different carrots on the stick. And I feel like for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, Fran, it feels like the carrot on the stick is end game, better gear, better loot. What are we doing in the raid kind of thing? Whereas for me, it's like, man, I really want a different outfit and I really want to get a cool nameplate. And I like playing dress up with the characters.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that because I like that too. It's more that my biggest commentary on these is always, I actually do want to get that stuff, but I want to get it by playing the game and not replaying the same things over and over. And unfortunately, it's, I can see it clearly. I feel like having played, a lot of Destiny and other these games, it is like, even if they release this thing called the Secret Lab soon and we get these 2 new characters, we get a new social space, it is not nearly enough. We need a bunch of these villain sectors. And so it'll still add to it. But the game is absolutely, I feel like it's the year away expansion. Hopefully, if there is one, that's going to be the one that hopefully really hits. And we've seen Destiny, go through this actually through a few generations. So, but it is special. And the last thing I do want to say in it, it'll be around for years, and there's not a lot of people playing it right now, I don't think, based on some of the numbers. But
yeah, the Steam number thing came out, right? Of how low.
Yeah, and that's PC. It's hard to say, right? But it feels low even when I'm playing on console. I'm like, it feels like there's not a lot of people playing. There's nobody jumping in and multiplayer, and
I feel like if it doesn't pick up by the next gen update, then there's a problem. Right now, like I think a lot of people are just like, well, one, I think most people are on PS4, but if like by the PS5 update, like people aren't back in it in a huge way, and also like it depends a lot on what heroes are released too. I don't think Hawkeye and Kate Bishop are going to excite most people, but when Spider-Man comes, maybe
if they have content drop, then maybe. But the point I was making is like even then there's just not going to be enough content. I think there will be a spike of interest, absolutely, because hopefully it performs better, the load times are fixed, there's less crashes. I mean, it's kind of a piece of work sometimes, and they have made improvements, they're working on it, but I think it's a ways out. But
spikes are fine for their business model of we just want people to come in occasionally and get the costumes they want to get.
Right.
Well, especially, I mean, you're talking about new characters, right? Because I do think, talking to Andy about this, maybe it was Blessing, but on one of the shows where it was like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to come back for the characters, right? They want you to come back. They want you to spend the $10 on that character's battle pass so that they're getting that drop of content there and keep you through. And I do think that, a year from now, if not 6 months from now, if they drop all these characters and they drop a new villain with them, and suddenly it is that, right now there's 4 villain sectors and you do 2 a day. So, like, the amount of times I fought fucking Abomination, like, I've seen this motherfucker. I know what he's about.
And even then, with quick load times, you can do 2 villain sections in, like, 20 minutes. But what I was trying to point out was actually a lot like Division, though. I would counterpoint, Imran, to what you said. Division went through this, man. It just didn't have enough, and boy, did it take a while. But, boy, it did come around, and Division 2 had some really awesome grand moments. It's going to take them a while to get there. But the last thing I wanted to say is if you do like skill trees and the depth of figuring out like how to play a character, like in a fighter, that's probably the biggest compliment I can give the game. I've been sort of taken aback. I'm like, wow, like each character is pretty complex in figuring out these skill trees, and you do have to spend a lot of time figuring it out and learning to play them. And I'll go back to another character. I'm like, I can't remember. Okay, how was I doing this again? And so it's got the complexity. It just needs more content.
I don't want to sidetrack this too much, but I have a question for you, Fran. And I guess for everyone here. But Fran, let's start with you. When it comes to Avengers, you're now seemingly having similar critiques that you have to all of the other games as a service games that have come before.
Vanilla Destiny all over again, pretty much.
Do you regret at all coming in at this point? Like, and when it comes to the division, it's like you were there through it being kind of rough, and then you got to appreciate it being good. Do you think that if you had just come in later, you would have appreciated it as much, or especially now with Avengers specifically? Like,
It's a really interesting question. I feel like it's hard to separate the fact that, quite honestly, it's part of the job, and I've attached myself to a lot of these games, and I feel like it's hard for me to understand what I would do if it wasn't part of the job. Not that I don't enjoy playing these games, right? I wouldn't continue to play them. But I feel like it's half enjoyment, but it's half like, man, I have to understand what this game is. Everybody's gonna ask me,
That's a shitty answer, man. That sucks for this game.
Right? But I'd say that about other games too, where you have to spend a tremendous amount of time to become. I mean, I'm not even an expert in these games, but I'm knowledgeable. And for me, I'm very nervous when I play these types of games. To become knowledgeable, you have to spend so much freaking time. But to answer your question, if I came in, let's say a year from now, and I never touch it, I think as long as there was, the community playing it, I think I would enjoy it a lot more. Because I would say the same thing about Destiny. I went through the first year release, and, Taken King, which came out a year later in 2015, was like such a cool experience. And so, I think like almost certainly it's way more fun to play a game that's complete and content complete and technically complete.
But do you appreciate that if you don't know that it wasn't to begin with? Like I don't have the experience of knowing anybody that went into Taken King as their first experience and then were like, I'm into Destiny. And let me know in the comments. I'd love to actually to kind of see that. But you being more in the Destiny community, like, do you know people that came in with it being more of a finished product?
I know they're out there, but you make a really good point. Like, can you be? I mean, Warcraft probably has some of these types of folks. World of Warcraft. It's weird though. I'm stuttering because you almost need a guide for these types of games, it's almost a paradox for me to think about. I'm like, well, if there weren't a bunch of people giving feedback and playing the game because they love it so much, and then therefore to help teach you and grow the community, then what would it be without all that? I don't know. Yeah, it's maybe it's just a necessary evil, but I really do sincerely wish that games would release in a more. Avengers' problem is very different. It just genuinely should have been delayed.
Those patch notes were like 20 pages long.
And it's not even close to being there. I'm not talking about content. It shouldn't be crashing when I'm trying to matchmake with Greg and Goldfarb. Like, it just shouldn't.
My favorite was when all those patch notes came out and Imran quote tweeted us, "Go, how did this game get released?"
And I mean, Greg, so what do you think about that, though? Like, do you think that being the big Avengers fan you are, and I know that you love the Marvel side of it, but you also dabble in these games as a service. Like, do you think that you would enjoy the experience more if you were to have come into it later?
I think it really depends, because I from a gameplay pound for pound gameplay and overall user experience, yes, you would enjoy it more that way. They would have ironed out these bugs. You're talking about loads being better. You're talking about there being more characters, more villains, all this different stuff. I think, right now, though, if I was to jump in then, it would be the hard sell of, hey, Goldfarb, hey, Sean, hey, Tim, hey, Fran, like, if you weren't already playing this, do you want to come jump into this with me? And that's not impossible, but usually it is on to that next hot thing. You were all moving to the next prod. Oh, I'm doing this, or I'm worried about that. Fran's got an expansion. I feel the fact that there's already this investment in this game. One of the things when we're playing at night and talking about the actual game is usually like, man, I can't wait to see Wakanda. I can't wait for the next war table to find out the roadmap. I'm excited to see, they have been doing something interesting with their social where they're putting up, like all sorts of just normal stuff like screenshot of the day and blah, 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 blah. But they put up a GIF the other day that was like, sure is cool to do stuff or whatever in the game. I don't forget what they said, but it was using unreleased stuff. So it was dumb Duggan sitting there at a table talking to Black Widow. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Where's that from? And it's like, they are showing you and doing this thing of like, there is more coming. And we are we're at the 1 month mark for this game right now. And it feels so much longer, I feel, because of the beta, because of the rocky entry it had, because of all this other stuff. Even when you talk about the game needs more content, Fran, which of course I agree with, but Division 2 launched with so much content and still had the same arguments people would put up against it, right? Mm-hmm. Of, man, people aren't even playing it, or what the fuck?
Dark Zone's broken.
I've done it all. I've done it. It's like you can't it's impossible to make everyone happy ever. And so you're trying to shoot for that middle section of getting people invested. And so I think that there's so much interesting shit happening here where, yep, concurrents are down, but there are hardcore people still playing it and people enjoying it. But then even the people who fell off it, I'm always surprised when I hear people say, oh yeah, but I'll come back for the other stuff. I want to see what the Hawkeye story missions are. I want to see what the Kate Bishop story are. When there is Spider-Man, which again, what a great like time bomb they put in there in a good way. Are there good time bombs? But you know what I mean? Of like, hey, like you're holding on to this game till then, right? Because of course you would like to see it. And maybe, like we're talking about, it being a next gen and having next gen versions day and date or whatever, like they're talking about, and your save carrying over. Like, if that really does cut down load times, if that is the pretty much what, I forget who it was. Imran, do you remember who wrote the article that was like, hey, looking under the hood of this, it almost seems like the next gen versions are the real versions of Avengers because the differences between PS4 to PS4 Pro to what it could theoretically be on PS5. Somebody put that kind of article up and statement up. And so if it is that, like, hey, guess what? You've already bought this game. If they can time fucking Clint to drop with on the November teens, so it's right there. You already have the game. It runs way better. We've added 2 characters, more stuff. Go and have fun at it. Like that could be another jolt to it of getting people back and into it and go. And there's never what's the sweet spot for content? You're never gonna know. But I think even just adding more to it in a third space where I don't have to go to the fucking anthill and then back to the carrier and run all the way over to the shield agent, right? Like if that's all in Wakanda, then great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking my problem right now is more in the fundamentals than it actually is the content because actually, there is quite a bit in it. It's not like it was, in the first division or even Destiny vanilla, right? It lacked a lot of content. Again, they weren't even like terrible, but for what you needed, this game does, I feel like, a better job. There is quite a bit in there and a lot of characters to play, a lot of, like you said, skins to earn, all this stuff. But fundamentals, I'm like, matchmaking is like probably number one. When you finish the game and the story and you're incentivized to be like, yo, I want to like level this character up. At least last I've tried, matchmaking is just kind of slow and does not work well. And right now, until I hop in and it's like smooth, and maybe if they fix that next year, that's what they need is flawless because you can't have people coming in because the enjoyment is whether you're playing on voice chat, which I think is numero uno, like you said, Greg. That is, I had so much fun playing with you in Goldfarb versus like when I'm just, not that I don't enjoy streaming it and playing on my own, but It's like such a fun experience versus the job of grinding out, characters on your own or whatever. But also being able to jump in and just play with other characters. And if you want to opt in the voice chat, you can also do that. But it just hasn't been working. Now, granted, I haven't like fully tested it, but everybody I talk to is like, it's not working. That has to be fixed.
Of course.
And it also has to get more intelligent. Like if you want to play specific missions, this is where these games tend to like thrive or die a bit. It's like, if I want to play this mission specifically on hard mode, etc., I want to matchmake. You need the player base to make that smooth. And at least right now, it seems like a really big uphill battle because the only thing you can do more easily, and even that doesn't work well, is a quick match will throw you into who knows what, just so you can find some people to play with versus dialing it in. And again, you can try to matchmake specific missions, but last I tried, that was also not a good idea.
Yeah, that's a crapshoot. The very few times it works, you're not finding the people you want to find.
Yeah, you also have to play with your AI characters, which is another discussion, but some of that's cool and some of it I really dislike. But
I mean, what do you dislike about it?
They just kind of get in the way sometimes, I guess is a good way to put it. They get in the way a lot.
They definitely get in the way when you're trying to do those dailies of like the finish off person with heavy combo. It's like all of a sudden Thor is just in there finishing off the person with whatever hit he had. It's like, no, fuck off, Thor. I am trying to do something here.
Yeah. That's why I found this is, I know, probably such a weird thing that I do that would turn people off, but I don't know. Like when I do want to go grind those, and I do, because I it's the same thing of playing at night with my friends. I don't want that to be like cool, but hey, every time we get him to where it is, let me critically let me give him a crit in the head because I have a 15 crit head thing. You know what I mean? I don't do that. Instead, I go into the harm rooms on the character by character thing and just do it all there, which I enjoy because I pop on a podcast or I sit here and I talk to Jen and catch up. You know what I mean? Like it's this weird minutia, that busy work that I feel like is rounding out my experience with the game and making me worry about the battle pass and get the stuff I'm trying to get out of it, to get more upgrade modules, to increase more things, to get whatever. Like, I don't know.
I'm glad I don't care about the battle pass as much.
It's not that I mean,
I'm
not sure about it,
Some
there's
people
so
love
much
it.
to talk about here.
I'm sorry.
love
I
it.
got off on a
love it.
tangent.
no, it's great.
No,
like,
it's
it's interesting. I think, it's Avengers 1 month later. Like, what do we think of this game? And what, you know what I mean?
I guess, Greg, maybe I know you didn't play as much Destiny, but would
Played
you
a lot of Division though?
Yeah, and you played plenty of Division. But I mean, you've played enough of both to understand this, I think.
Yeah.
Like, these games came out a long time ago, and let's say Destiny's the big one. It had this bounty system that, like, you running around a planet picking up treasure chests over and over again, or in this case, the battle pass wants you to specifically, like, melee or crit someone, and I'm like, these, for me, feel like the same mistakes. Don't you feel like it's a little uninventive to solve the problem, or are you actually like, no, like, that's just these games?
Hold on. Before
Okay.
you answer that, I quickly want to tell you about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Upstart. During these economically turbulent times, everyone's looking for a way to feel more financially secure. So if you're still needlessly throwing money every month at high interest credit card debt, it's time you checked out Upstart, the revolutionary online lending platform that knows that you are more than just a credit score. One of my very good friends had a lot of debt problems, and Upstart was able to consolidate all of his debt into just one monthly payment. So much easier for him to understand. It just makes it better for you entirely. It's easier. You can do it. You can get through it. I believe in you. Unlike other lenders, Upstart can reward you based on your education and job history in the form of a smarter rate. You don't need a degree or a diploma to apply, though. Upstart lets you skip going to the bank because it's completely online. They offer loans from $1,000 all the way up to $50,000, so you can consolidate your debt into one easy fixed rate payment. Over 400,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards or meet their financial goals. Free yourself from the burden of high interest credit card debt and get back to using your money your way with Upstart. See why Upstart has a 4.9 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot, and hurry to upstart.com/kinda to find out how low your Upstart rate can be. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes. That's upstart.com/kinda. Your loan amount will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Not all applicants will qualify for the full amount. upstart.com/kinda. Also, shout out to Honey. These days, it feels like online shopping is the only shopping we really do. It's true, right, Kevin?
Yep.
That's right.
100%.
And that's where Honey comes in. Honey has saved me a lot of money. It saved Kevin a lot of money. It saved Kind of Funny a lot of money over the years because it's so easy to use, and I don't understand why anyone would not use it. It's free. It's easy to install, and then it just saves you money anytime you're buying stuff, whether it's a site like Etsy, a site like Best Buy, a site like Target. It's fine. It's saving money. I just bought some shoes from Nike.com, and I saved some money using the promo code that Honey provided me. Here's how it works. You get Honey on your computer for free in 2 easy clicks. Then, when you're checking out on one of over 30,000 supported sites, Honey pops up, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds. Honey searches for coupons for that site. If it finds working codes, it applies the best one to your cart. You don't need to do any Google search trying to find codes manually. No. They do it for you. You're saving money. You can get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/kinda. That's joinhoney.com/kinda. So they know that we sent you. Thanks, Honey, for supporting today's episode. joinhoney.com/kinda. And finally, shout out to Hims. We all used to think that ED was an issue just for old guys, but I found out that one of my friends was going through some issues with all this stuff, and it's one of those things that we can fix. According to the Journal of Sexual Medicine, by age 40, almost 40% of men struggle with ED in some form. So you're not alone out there. Hims connects you with licensed medical professionals online to see if prescription treatment is right for you. Through Hims, you can get the prescription medication that treats ED, real science, real solutions. Hims makes it easy. They connect you with a licensed medical professional. They get the FDA-approved prescription medication that you need. You can get the same active ingredient as that expensive little pill, but without the expensive price. This could cost hundreds if you went to a doctor or pharmacy. Not so with Hims. Hims makes it simple and affordable. No embarrassing conversations, no expensive appointments. Just answer a few questions online about your medical history, and a provider will confidentially review. Try Hims today by starting out with a free online visit. Go to forhims.com/kindafunny for your free visit. That's forhims.com/kindafunny. forhims.com/kindafunny. Prescription products are subject to medical provider approval and require an online consultation with a medical provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details and safety information. Remember, that's forhims.com/kindafunny. Now, getting back to the question at hand here, I do want to talk about battle passes because they're something that are key to these style of games. And Fran, it actually kind of shocks me that you are not interested in doing the battle pass for Avengers for how into the game you seem to be and how into doing all the things. Like, that seems to me like it's a critical error of the structure of this game, that the thing that's supposed to be added and keeping you going, you're a little turned off by. You're delivering this to Greg now. Greg, what's your stance on this?
I mean, I would say that it wasn't until maxing out Black Widow's power level, so 150, like hitting as strong as you can be in the game with her on her gear score, that I was like, I looked at her battle pass, I'm like, oh man, I haven't even been really trying, and I'm really close to the end. And Cap, I had been, questing after a few different costumes and whatever on it, so I'd already been actively doing it, and so that was just like, on a whim decision, I don't know, for Saturday, I guess, where I was like, I'm gonna finish these off, and just sat there and finished them off. And then it was, well, now that I've done them, Iron Man and Kamala are my next mains, right? So I should go look at their battle pass, and I did their stuff. And then it was like, Sunday, midday, I was like, well, I like Thor a lot too, and so I just started adding on that way.
You finished all those?
No.
Okay.
I finished Black Widow and I finished Cap, and then I started really putting. I have not been. What I'm trying to say in a long roundabout way is I've not been obsessed with battle passes by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that now that I'm here and I'm looking at them, and I'm like for me, especially with trophies, it's like, all right, cool. 150 Cap, 150 Black Widow. That's great. Now it's about getting all the other characters to level their character level 50, unlocking all their skills, and then power levels I'm going to let fall where they may. Maybe I get obsessed with Iron Man, fuck around, and actually want to get him to 152 or at least 130 or something. But as I start playing them, then it is the carrot and the stick of like, well, let's go look at their battle pass and see what I can unlock and what I should be doing and what these miniature quests are. For what you're talking about, Fran, what I like about them is that I have ignored them for the most part, and for the most part fucked around and got the stuff. You'll go in there and of course there'll be the, hey, save 10 hostages in a week or whatever. And it's like, well, I've not been farming those quests. So I have 3 and I'm not going to worry about it. But then it's also like, last night I sat down and I swear I'm answering your question, Tim. Last night I sat down, right, and I had like 30 minutes before midnight, which is where I call it. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I was like, man, I don't want to hit up Goldfar, but I want to do this. And I was like, let's see what's Iron Man's weekly. And the weekly was open 15 gold chests. And so I, did a quick Google, like, where can I farm that? All right, here's the mission. I was like, all right. So I put on a podcast and just went and did those over and over, just knocked them off, back to Quinjet, knocked it off, back to Quinjet, and like didn't finish it, but was getting better gear from my Iron Man, who's still benefiting from low level gear because I was opening all these chests and hanging out with it. And like, it's that part of the wrinkle of the game that there's much to do. So back to the battle pass though. Sorry, Tim. Like, for me, especially, and I'm surprised Fran's not doing them. Again, this might have been a mule kick, leftover. This might be part of that. But you get resources out of them. You get upgrade modules out of them. You get the nanites. You need that stuff, Fran. You need it for your upgrades.
You don't get much value out of it in terms of the gameplay. You get some of that stuff. The main reason you want the battle pass, right, is it gives you credits, which then, and this, it's a good point of clarification for people too, as long as you finish one battle pass, you get 1,300 credits. And it costs 1,000 credits to, say, for example, buy Kate Bishop, who's coming out. So as long as you finish a battle pass.
Whoa, slow down. Remember, not buy Kate Bishop. You get Kate Bishop for free, buy her battle pass.
Oh, sorry. Her battle pass, yes.
Just making sure we're clear.
No, you're right. I've done this numerous times where I'm trying to explain that detail. So yeah, to get the battle pass and all her cool, skins that come with it and if you want it, you have to use 1,000 credits, or you can buy it, for money and skip the line if you're not going to do that. But that's the main reason. Other than that, there are some cool skins there. But the point I'm making is you can get way more materials than what they offer in that battle pass. And there's no real like gear and stuff in there. And they really need to like flesh it out. I have 2 problems with the battle pass. Number 1 is, yes, they're gated by these relatively annoying, I don't want to play a game based on a bounty that tells me to do 10, do like you're describing. That's so vanilla. And Destiny still has these problems, but you want me to go to a gold chest 10 times over by reloading a mission over and over again. By the way, it's going to be so
Well,
much
what they
better.
want you to do is play the game for a week nonstop
Yeah,
and
but-
just happen into these things.
And this is the point. No player who really is keeping an eye is going to do that. That is the casual approach and idea. But even then, it's like it's not fun because it's just, there's no real incentive. But anyway, I have a problem with the design of stuff like that. I would much rather it was tied to gameplay. And some of them are, like you said. Sometimes it is like get 10 shock melees, or I don't know if that's a real one. But as an example, and like those are okay. I generally am just not that interested. My bigger problem, and I feel like all these games you need to be able to play the game and earn XP by playing with your time to level these passes up. What happens is they're gating you. They don't want you to be able to simply spend time. They want you to not finish these too quickly. And so the only way they can do that, because what happens is, let's say they give you XP from finishing a boss or something, we immediately as players are going to game the system and figure out how to do what you're doing, but with the XP. And we're going to crank through like 10 characters passes, and then we're going to complain we have nothing to do. So it's a little chicken and the egg.
What you're describing, Fran, is the Fortnite Battle Pass, which like Greg actually gave me some V-Bucks to try that recently. And that Battle Pass is actually really fun. Because like when I'm done playing that game, I see like all the things that unlocked, and it's always like a cool moment to see all that stuff. I don't get that from Avengers Battle Pass. 99% of the time when stuff happens in Avengers Battle Pass, I don't realize it till I go manually check it. It's a very boring presentation, and the things it tells me to do are like not fun to do.
Yeah. And for
that's accurate. I mean, I totally understand that part of it where, like, again, it would be what you're talking about, where I'd go into my gear menu for the 19th time to put on the best stuff and to break down some stuff, and you'd see the white dot under the challenge card. And I would go, all right, fuck. And I'd go over there and, I hit 3 points and I got this new name bar or whatever. It's like, it's not like Fortnite, which was super rewarding. And Fran, you're nailing it. The reason they don't want you to do it is they don't want you to game the system, and they want you to play this thing and do it. And they want you to play it daily. That's why, again, it's 2 dailies, 2 weeklies. And that's the only way to move the challenge card outside, of course, the currency you can spend, which you can earn in game. But of course, you could buy more if you wanted to then unlock more of the battle pass as you go.
For what it's worth, I feel very confident given how the structure is very clearly inspired by other games, Avengers, that they probably didn't want the battle pass to quite be this or the challenges to be this, but the game's just like there's only so many resources to finish a game this complex. And I feel like that's why we are still, for sure, a year out from like they must have a lot of stuff that they just have done.
You know how these games work. It'll all look different in a year. Like it'll be different.
I don't think they wanted it this way.
I mean, so Avengers, I think personally, is the perfect example of a franchise in a game that is trying to welcome this type of gameplay to a whole new audience, to a mainstream audience, where there are some people that care about the lore of Destiny. There are some people that care about the world of Division. There are many people that care about the world of Marvel and everything that it can offer. I would think that this should have needed to be the games as a service that launched, that caught those people, aka me, caught the people that were interested in part of it, not the other part, but could have been hooked if they nailed all the things, learning the lessons that we've seen from Destiny on for the last couple of years, right? Of game comes out, a year later, there's an expansion, and that one's the actually good part, and then they keep going from there, and it gets better and better and better. Imran, I want to start with you on this one. It is what it is, or can a games as a service launch right?
It could, and like Fran is like he made the right point of he's seen these mistakes before in pretty much all these games, and yeah, that's right. I think Avengers could have been that game if it were not tied to such a massive license. If it were not an Avengers game that needed to come out before the next gen systems, before the holidays, all that stuff, and it's a game that was already delayed to begin with.
Wait, why did it need to come out?
I'm just joking. Yeah, honestly, like that was basically my tweet: is how did this game come out? Because
fiscal earnings.
If you need 1,000 patches for this, or 1,000 things fixed in one patch, and you brag about that number, something's wrong. But the fact that it is still making those mistakes about content, about battle passes, about things like that, makes me think they copied the beginnings of every other games as a service, because I guess there needs to be some level of scale, that it has to be, let's just get the game out and then we'll like start working with the live team on what the next thing should be, because those two teams don't work together on everything. And like maybe that's not the way it is, but that's the way I'm perceiving it to be. That Avengers, like we said, in a year will be very interesting. But yeah, that first year, the first month, I guess it feels like it's been a year, has been tiresome. It's been exhausting because I don't think that game is up to the snuff it needs to be.
I have strong feelings on that question.
Fran, go for it.
I got to tell you, I just don't think a AAA game like this you can ever expect, and there's some irony here, for it to come out right and polished and finished. And partially, here's why. A game like this almost certainly has to be released in early access, not in secret, and then suddenly out, because it does need time with a big player base with a lot of feedback. But that's going to mean it's public. It's going to be hard to get many thousands of people in and give also give the developers the time to work and react. Instead of probably what they did, I mean, they had very tough schedule, I'm assuming, to do all this content. And then you have a base of testers. It's not that their feedback's not valuable, but there's just no time to iterate. So I feel like you're never going to see an early access Marvel Avengers that goes on for like Hades did, for a year. And then it's like, oh, amazing.
But
I
why
think
not?
that's the right way. I know, why not? But I think because of the license and the fanfare, I mean, it also came with I want to say big campaign, but a blockbuster style campaign, and you know how that is.
But
and
take
the money's got to get in the door.
Take
They're not
Fallout
gonna-
76 for an example. Todd Howard has said, "I wish we would have launched that thing early access," and like the implication there
Fallout and-
is that they didn't, because like that's not, you don't get people paying $60 for a.
That's what I
early
was about to
access
say.
game.
How do you do it? Do you give the game away for free to a capped audience of 50,000 people? Or do you charge $20 for the first year and then you erase all progress and you'll give those people $40 off the full version? You know what I mean? How do you do it? That's what I feel like we're in, because I haven't seen any game that you can come out and let the developers, first of all, have enough time, but then to iterate. I'm telling you, Crystal Dynamics, I bet you if you got behind closed doors, they've got lists of, they're nodding their heads listening right now. You're like, yep. We
they
wanted to do
know.
that.
It's
Of
always the
course.
way. Everybody
And that's
knows
my-
what's wrong with their game.
But how do you not release it until you get it to be what you really want? How do you do what seemingly the God of War team was able to do, which is iterate on something for 5 years, and finish it up over the course of another few years? Like,
if you want the answer, I think it's what the future of Destiny is. It's being independent and answering to no one but yourselves. Like,
Yeah.
We can sit here and talk about Crystal Dynamics and the amazing pedigree they have and yada, yada, yada. They were contracted by Marvel Games to
And they're
make
owned
this
by
game.
A publicly owned company.
And I'm sure, as we all know, these contracts come with, cool, these are your milestones. Here's the release date you're going to hit. And when they slide on that release date multiple times, I'm sure there's eventually a thing where this is costing us money now. We're not going to get X, Y, and Z. This isn't going to work. So, yep, we're shipping now. It's in good enough shape to get it out there and people will have fun with it. And again, especially pairing it up with the Spider-Man announcement and all this stuff, even if it is that concurrence dip or drop altogether, right? It's the idea that it's a sunk cost for players. They have the game. So when we put in Kate, when we put in Clint, when we put in, even to get away from that, no offense to Hawkeyes, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Scarlet, big names into this game. When we put in hey, guess what? The MCU skins are finally here. Guess what? You are going to turn it on. Not everybody, but a lot of people are going to turn it on. Not to mention that a games as a service, no matter how good you can make it, is still going to be a turnoff in not people's genre sometimes.
Yeah. No, you nailed it right there. It's the fiscal earnings, the commitments, and it's hard. I think it's hard for any developer, even when you're independent, because you've still got people to pay. You've got investors even still who you've promised that you have a big game. And so it's way more complex than us sitting here and be like, yeah, you should have made it better when you released it. But I don't know. You want to avoid stuff. Thankfully, they did, I think. But it was close to feeling like Anthem in a lot of ways, where I was like, whoa, wait, it was not nearly as call it busted at first, and there was more content and certainly more clout. The campaign was way more put together, but very similar mistakes. And I was like, how they not just, see that as you know what I mean?
I think the interesting thing there, though, is that Anthem let people down, whereas Avengers was better than people thought it was going to be. Am I wrong about that?
How did they pull that off? It's a way bigger franchise, but yeah, they didn't really make a lot of promises, I guess. We never really knew quite what it was for quite some time.
Well,
right?
the entire like lead up to that game from like the E3 reveal on was this game doesn't look good. And then when it came, I was like, okay, yeah, this game's fine. Like this is not the trash fire that we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Tim, you actually make a really good point, and it's funny because I had detailed that in the review that I did a long time ago. The vision that Anthem laid out at E3 was so cool looking from BioWare. They have so much expectation, but what they showed you versus what it was very different. Where I feel like what Crystal showed you, it's like actually it was fairly spot on. I don't think we expected a lot different. We didn't know a lot about the end game either, so. Setting expectations, I guess, is pretty important too. But I will say I know this game has tons of potential. There's already a ton of depth. I can only imagine that you wouldn't see a lot more of this game in the future unless the licensee stuff started to become an issue and there was some internal debate about wanting to continue with this type of game. That if they pull out too soon, it's like, whatever, we're not seeing the concurrence, this is our last 6 months of content. I hope that doesn't happen because I look forward and just imagine like an Iron Man story where whatever he gets like taken hostage and stripped of all his gear. And I think of this because they had a piece of this in the game. And I was like, dude, you could do like the Metroid type thing with his campaign of him finding his gear and Crystal Dynamics. Who better to do cool content like that? And then to parlay that into the end game and have that polish too. It's got huge potential. So I'm still very excited about it.
I would be fascinated to see what the conversation would be right now in terms of end game and not enough content if the last war table hadn't been changed because of Chadwick's untimely passing. Because they put that out there and clearly it was like, ooh, and from them of like, fuck, we can't show this, which assumedly would have been, here's Wakanda, here's the new era you'll go to, here's the kinds of new missions you'll get there. And so, because again, like it has only been a month, and granted, that's short for people
it's
who
so crazy to think about that.
That's short for the people who had
6 months ago.
5 150s in the first week, and it feels long for the people who are playing it. I'm not trying to be insulting, a normal person's amount of time of an hour every so often or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's this weird scale, but I feel like right now their biggest problem is that there isn't clarity on where they're going. And I think if they could have had that war table on launch day or early launch day like they had and been like, guess what, you don't even Kate Bishop's dropping at the end of October, and in mid-October you're getting Wakanda, and it'll have this secret lab in it, it'll have all this stuff, and then our next war table, they've said the next war table is the roadmap. How long does that roadmap go? Sorry, Fran.
No, I was just like sighing and thinking a lot. To me, it's still roughly the same, though. It's like, yeah, and that's months away probably. I still have all the same problems I have in that I would have wished that to the earlier question, I would have wished it would have just released when that's ready. And I got to tell you, we didn't talk about this part on the show, I don't think. Did we talk about the secret lab on the show? I don't think so.
I don't think it happened yet.
The secret lab, many listeners or viewers may not know this, but I was playing one night and somebody came into my stream and was like, yo, I'm getting this weird, like, 155 level content. And I was like, oh, that's weird. The whole game's weird. Things are happening. But then I was like, wait, can I join in? And I joined in. It was the raid-like content called Secret Lab, which they have teased. And it just rotated itself onto the map, which for any other game, this would have been like if it was Destiny at the time and the raid leaked, it would have been a much bigger story. So for a moment, I was like, oh, I want to be famous. Nobody can. So I was like one of the only people in the world, apparently. There was a reported, someone had told me that there was a team that finished, but it didn't get much publicity.
That's crazy.
But anyway, I ended up in it. My point I'm trying to make, though, is it seemed ready to go. And I have a feeling, by the way, Kate Bishop, probably ready to go. Social content, ready to go. Or sorry, the new social space. I bet you that Hawkeye's ready to go, but the game was not ready to go, and they also have this plan of stretching it out to try to keep you coming back. Sure. That's what these games do. And that kind of, I don't know. I actually don't totally mind that if they would fix everything, but to what you were getting at, Greg, especially when it comes to Wakanda, and I don't know, if that was planned there were some rumors that it's September, some rumors that it might have come sooner. Either way, it all should have come within weeks of itself, and us knowing that too.
That's the problem with
not months though, weeks.
But I think that's still possible, and I think that, but when you have something like that happen, where literally, the Friday before your Tuesday war table, like the face of Wakanda passes away, it's like, oh my God, like you have to feel for them. But then it also is that it is this weird what if. And I hope that 6 months, a year from now, you know, IGN, somebody from Crystal's on Unfiltered and McCaffrey gets it, or, you know, Jason figures it out or whatever. Somebody just says it. Like, I feel like we'd have a different conversation if it was very clear that, guess what? At the end of September, it was going to be Wakanda. At the end of October, it's going to be Kate. At the end of November, it's Clint. And personally, as somebody who likes this game and likes playing it a lot, but inevitably will get distracted by something else, we'll burn out, we'll complete every challenge card or 150 all the characters I want to 150. I like the idea that once a month there's something for me to come in and do, whether it is something small or whether it is something large. Because I mean, like, you look at Animal Crossing even, and how jazzed I am for this Halloween event, how I'm back on every day, you know, getting my dailies, getting all the stuff out of it. Like, I like that kind of content.
Yeah, I definitely sympathize with the fact that, like, they had the Chadwick Boseman thing happen and they had a weekend to deal with it, and they couldn't, like, they had to just cancel that announcement. But it's been a while, and it's like, there is no excuse at this point to not just say these things, except for it's not ready to show yet, and that's the only thing I can imagine.
It's fair.
Yeah, I agree with you too, because it's a sensitive subject. But I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, well, how does it? You know, Chadwick wasn't in the game, but of course, like, literally within days of it, it seems pretty tacky. Maybe taking advantage of the press, like that's what they want to avoid. But now we're weeks in, and so just to say, oh yes, and we love Wakanda. By the way, we built it. You know, rest in peace, Chadwick, and we built, you know, in the game, although he's not in it. We have
a nice nod to him or something.
Yeah, like, in other words, and they may not even have to reference it, but my point is, I don't see how it's like a negative at this point either, Imran. Like, it feels like. And that was my point with the Secret Lab getting leaked out. I'm like, I don't know. It feels like they're just way
It's crazy that Secret Lab isn't available. You played that like the end of week 1, the beginning of week 2. Like, where the fuck is that?
Nobody knows.
Question for you. You bring up Animal Crossing, and they've had their updates. Obviously, came out in March. You loved it. Had the summer update. It brought you back. Fall update. You get into Halloween. So, of course, Greg Miller's going to be there. You love the Halloween.
That's
you
right,
love
baby.
the spookies. But, like, at what point does that end? Do you think that, like, a spring? I don't really like count you as a spring man. Like,
I mean,
do you
there'll
think
be more of that Easter crap, that Bunny Day stuff I didn't care about the first time around.
Oh, so that's the thing. So you won't care about it.
No.
Okay, so then
Right now, I expect to go hard. I expect to go hard right now through New Year's. Because I think there'll be the fall Thanksgiving stuff, there'll be the Christmas stuff, and then whatever New Year's is, and then we'll see from there what's going on.
Okay. And so then, I totally skipped winter there. I don't know why I did that, but it's interesting. So, like, Hawkeye, we've talked about, it's kind of like the spring, I guess, right? Where it's just like, okay, whatever.
I like Hawkeye a lot.
That's going to be, So do I, especially the Hawkeyes that they're going with here, and I'm excited to see more people kind of be able to experience that type of Hawkeye compared to what we've gotten. But, like, question for you guys: do you think that Avengers is going to have the same type of moment that Destiny and Division had, or do you think it's going to go the way of Anthem?
I think those are two extreme positions, and it's hard to say because I'm pretty sure that game probably sold pretty well. I don't think we've gotten numbers for September yet on NPD, but I'm guessing it did okay. But long term, it's a more open question because, like, what does Square Enix think about it? What does Marvel think about it? With the MCU delay, did that change anything in their schedule? Like, these are all questions that they're not answering. And so we don't know what the roadmap looks like beyond the two Hawk people. And if it is like Doctor Strange in January and things like that, that's exciting. And I'd be interested to see about that stuff. But if they want to keep like a larger, like, if they want to keep their larger audience there, they need more reasons for them to check in once a month. They need reasons for them to, like, actually do dailies and do check in like every day and do bring in new people and friends to buy the game and play it with them.
I agree that we're talking about extremes there. If you're going to say, is it going to be more like Anthem, or is it going to be more like Destiny or Destiny 2 or whatever you want to say, the revival that brought people back into it? I do not think it is Anthem. I do not think it will become Anthem or be Anthem. I see the parallels that Fran was referencing earlier, but I think even to say like, it's a lot like Anthem, I don't agree with. However, going forward, I think, again, it's already a sunk cost, and you're talking about, you're not a spring guy. Who's going to be my spring Marvel character, right? Like, or my Avengers character, my spring Avengers character, right? Oh, what? No, he means like who I not care about.
Sorry, yeah.
And the answer there, I think, is interesting because even if it's going to be somebody that I don't care about, it's free, and I'm gonna want to try it and see what they're like. And if the way it works the way I think it is, and it brings in, like, let's say we all go our separate ways, me, Goldfarb, and Sean, and Tam, or whatever, right? Play other things, and then there is a new character that we all come back to try. Even if it's not my jam, I'm gonna want to be with my friends if they're not playing. If Goldfarb's super into character X that I don't give a shit about, I'll let that actually works, since we can't all play as the same character, right? Let him play as it, and I'll level up my Hulk, I'll level up my Thor, whoever I haven't done. I'll play alongside them and do that just to be back in there. And then if it works that way, and the people who are saying they want to come back just to try the new heroes and do these new story missions and stuff, I think obviously they're reading the tea leaves and all the data they're getting. You imagine that they're not stupid, and they've planned on their roadmap, which obviously will be delayed and pushed around and nonstop and all that stuff, that there's got to be some endgame like thing. There's got to be a Thanos like threat, whether it is him or not, whether it is the Kree, whether it is that's Captain Marvel, whether it is Galactus. When you get to, hey, we've got everything on track, the game's where we want it to be, so now it's just about content. You keep dropping these characters, and keep, like, even Clint stuff, right, is tachyon missions or something. You remember what they're called, Fran? They mentioned them.
Tachyon
like,
rifts.
Right. So you're talking about time or parallel dimension. Like, if you're doing the MCU thing in this game of everything you're dropping seems like it's just fun one-offs, but they're actually seeding a bigger threat that when it is, guess what, everybody, next month Thanos comes. And so you need to be at this power level to take him on with your friend. Like, I think that could be the moment we're talking about, where it is Avengers 2.0 of, hey, we've made, it's like Division, actually. It's more like Division 1. Hey, we've made all these changes. Here's what the game is right now. Let's go. And everybody's like, holy shit, this is improved. This is great. Now, again, you'll never get the pop you get at launch. You'll never get that many people online to come back to it.
So
but I think you get a lot of people in.
Jumping off with that to close out the show here, what's going to happen to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League?
Oh, so I'm excited about that, actually.
I mean, because like looking at it, like
we
that,
don't really know a lot about it.
Are we gonna
Well,
fucking
but
have
what
a
we do
plan
know-
in 2022? I don't fucking know.
but like what I'm saying is, like, we it's the next games as a service we know is happening as a games as a service, right? So by
How much of it
2022,
can- they still haven't said anything about it being games as a service, though, right?
no, okay, they haven't,
That's the
but like,
rumor.
I'm not
Yeah.
even busting your balls. I'm just making
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
that
Let's
we're being
assume that
clear.
it
Yeah,
is.
like let's
Okay.
assume that it is, right? That is the only one that we know is coming in the next couple of years. That is a new full-on entry in something.
And
It's
Arkham
its own
Knights is
thing.
not going to count.
Gotham
Arkham
Knights
Knights,
is
It's not a game
co-op.
as a service.
Yeah.
very
that's
explicitly not.
co-op. Yeah.
So this being games as a service, 2022, we're now looking at 2 years from now, right? Will that one launch and be the thing it needs to be? Can
Survey
that one launch
says.
and be the thing it needs to be?
Probably not, based on the service. I don't know. I mean, nobody's been able to do it, is all I will say. So, what history also tells me, as to what Greg was saying before, I mean, we're a year out from where, Avengers really needs to be, not even counting all the fixes they need to do. So, the point for me, all these games have had potential and they're not worth giving up on. And Avengers does some amazing things, which is why I have so much fun playing it, especially with friends. So to Suicide Squad, I just don't see how they're going to pull it off. Same problem and Imran pointed it out. How do you take a huge franchise like that and give it the time it needs? Like, you need to drop like a huge moment, don't you? And so therefore it won't be ready.
The problem, Fran, is that as a consumer and as a player of Avengers, you're going, okay, yeah, I'll give it a year. I'll let it see where it goes and where it grows. As a company, I don't think Square Enix is going to do that. I think
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, they sold IO Interactive back to IO to make money for this game. They took Eidos off other, like Crystal Dynamics, and put Eidos on their stuff and all that stuff. Like, is there a point where they go, actually, we need this money for Final Fantasy 16 or Final Fantasy 14 or 7 Part 2 or something? Then go, we're going to pull budget from this because it's not making as much money as we thought. Game sales aren't up, microtransactions aren't up, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But there's your counterpoint. And although Final Fantasy is, of course, the golden child of Square, Marvel's a huge franchise. And shouldn't they give it the same time that Final Fantasy 14 had, which had a complete rebirth and success? It literally was like, nobody wants to play this when it launched.
But they run that.
Everybody
they run
wants to play
FF14.
this.
Marvel probably makes demands on Avengers.
Well, I know, but at least it makes sense. are they willing to stick with it?
Right, but they can say like, "Hey, let's do a Jacobo event or whatever." I don't play 14, so I don't know. But let's do a Final Fantasy 6 event, and then they can just do it because that is theirs. If they want to say, "Hey, let's do a Doctor Strange," I don't know why I keep going back to Doctor Strange. Well, let's do a
Strange in the game.
let's do a
we all want him in the game,
Thanos,
that's what.
Thanos event, and like that's how we want to end the season. And Marvel goes, "Actually, we have other plans for Thanos right now. We're not going to allow him in this stuff." Like, is that going to be what kills this game, or what?
God, I hope not. That's like the potential, not the problem.
Yes, it is. Well, historically, I can see Square Enix doing that.
Yeah, I feel like they gave him some leeway with this game. I was surprised that a lot of the stuff that happens in there, because it's not like it follows the movies or anything like that.
It doesn't.
So.
But Marvel is a heavy hand. So.
Indeed.
True, indeed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, thank you very much for joining us, for watching, for enjoying, hopefully. If you are a patreon.com/kindafunnygames supporter at the right level, you can watch the post show that we are about to do. Until next time, love you guys. Bye.